What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR, Bitcoin, couple charts and indicators. This thing has been looking pretty good the last couple days. I know everybody's thinking the same thing. We're finally breaking above the key levels that we've been speaking about for an extended period of time. We're going to go over that in the video. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We'll talk about everything that we need to know. We'll go over Bitcoin's chart, where I think things could be going. Make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe on this video. It helps out the algorithm, and I appreciate all your constant support. When we take a look here, this chart is really starting to play out on a larger time frame. This is something we always speak about, this bull flag, measuring out this one. Remember, they don't always have to work. It's just a guideline more than anything. And this one measuring out this move here. So we did have that kind of sideways chop and bull flag, which we'll go over on a lower time frame, but it is starting to look pretty good. So it just doesn't look the exact same way that we saw on these moves here. So from September to November, and here from February to March, it just looks a little bit different, where we kind of pushed up, went sideways, and now we're pushing up again. But at the same time, I do think we were really here in this entire piece, in my opinion. I think this is what we've been doing this entire time. I think this is the actual first real breakout, serious move that I could actually say, okay, I think this could be leading to something. Of course, it doesn't have to, but I think this is the actual real one here. Because yeah, we had this large move up here, but really, when you look at it, we were just in the same spot the entire time. You just draw a line through price right here, that's smack in the middle, and we're really just going sideways. We just deviated to the downside a little bit further. And if you look here, it was the same thing here, but you can see all the candles. There wasn't as many gaps or wicks. You can see, like here, you can see it's splitting through the candles, then it's wick. We didn't even touch it underneath it. Then we started playing back within this white line. Here, you can see almost every single candle was within this range. So I really think this move was this right here. Just in my opinion, we'll see, of course, with time, but I do believe that we are starting to get that potential breakout. Like I said, this thing we could wake up tomorrow and Bitcoin's at 110 or 105 because something catastrophic happens, or a black swan event, or CPI actually tomorrow, the print comes out bad. We always have to keep that in mind. Right now, things are looking pretty good. I do think we were really just going sideways, man. It doesn't feel like it when you're in between it. This move down here feels atrocious, but when you look at when you zoom out, you can really tell that we were just in one spot the entire time. So just wanted to touch on that really quick and say that I do think we are making our way up there. It's starting to look pretty good, especially when we zoom in. You can start to see. Let me take off these red circles here. And something I actually wanted to touch on, because it's not really a big deal, but I think it kind of is at the same time. So you can see we have a gap right here in between these two, where we actually didn't close that gap yet. I hope we don't, but there's a chance that we could, because a lot of gaps get closed. We'll see what happens. Like this one here ended up getting closed way over here December, and then we ended up pushing down further. But we really haven't seen an actual gap like that where there was no kind of wicks or anything since this move here. Not saying that we're getting some kind of insane move like that, but we typically see that kind of price action when we start to really get the moves up. Like here, there was a gap between this week and this week that never got closed. I mean, it's very minute, it's tiny, but it's still a gap. Price did not fill it at all, and then this one got filled, and now we have this one here, which is very, very small. Like I said, it could be insignificant, but it is a gap. So we'll see if we fill it this week, or if we just take off and then we fill it maybe in the bear market when we come back down. Beautiful start, though, to the week. We have finally closed on the weekly above our key level, this golden zone, and we're outside of this downward sloping trend line. We also closed above this level right here, which we were always talking about. We wanted to break above that, the wicks, and now we're playing above what I think is the most important level, which is that 446, or for easier numbers, 450 level that we're at right now. That's where we want to play. I think from here, it opens up the idea of having a clean move. So we actually got rejected off of that. I would say pretty much the last level, which is the 450, 350. That's the last wick right here. And from there, you take a look at the left-hand side, and it's a clean move all the way to the top. Not saying it's going to happen in the snap of a finger, but it could. And also, what's leading me to believe that we are starting to get to that point is the fact that the volume is actually kicking up. We saw 18 million on Friday and 18 million or 17.9 million. So 18 million again today, which is nice to see because we haven't seen that. We were sitting at extremely low volume for a long time, where we were sitting at, I don't know, 7 million, 10 million. The average volume has dropped significantly. I think the average volume now is like 11 million because we've just had so many low volume days that it's brought it back down. So you can see we've honestly, since May, we kind of just trended around this level, and now we're finally getting some green candles above this white line, which is nice to see. Like I said, it doesn't mean that we are going to break out right now, but it definitely helps the case, I would say. On the weekly SMA, this thing's starting to look good, starting to rip higher. It absolutely shot right past its old high, which was at 339. Now the 20-week SMA, which is a strong level for a bull trend, is sitting at 360. So that's a very key level that we're going to want to hold for sure. Here on the daily, something that we were actually talking about was the 20 pushing above the 50, which we just got. We just got that right here. You can see that move right there. So the 20 is crossing above the 50. Last time we got the 20 to cross the 50 was over here, and you can see that was at 299. We pushed up to 430. And the time before that, we were roughly at like 160, and we pushed up to 500. And of course, you have your moments where we're chopping sideways, so it flips back and forth. But with a actual confirmed breakout, having the 20 flip above the 50 is a key metric, and we definitely want to see that. So that's a very beautiful sign. Of course, global liquidity has been ramping up higher and higher. This is the 12-day offset, or the 12-week offset. I'm sorry. So I do think we still have higher to go. This should show that we have more time in the Bitcoin cycle to continue pushing up higher. It'll just be a matter if we get a left translated cycle or a right translated cycle based off of economic data, spike in unemployment, and an inflation report that comes out really poor, any kind of black swan event, like I said. So pretty much we'll be watching the Fed and watching their dual mandate, which is inflation and unemployment. So those are the reasons why I would see a left translated cycle. If not, then I think we can continue following this for at least a little bit more of time before this starts to continue on down. We'll probably continue pushing up after it goes down, and then we will continue to follow it. And then maybe we could decouple from it for an extended period of time before we start to follow it again. On the weekly RSI, higher highs, higher lows, looking very nice. We actually just broke, looks like we just broke above, we just broke above this high, which was sitting at like 66.78, and now we're sitting at 68.42. So we're about to make it to overbought territory here on the weekly. And last time we saw those were the beautiful moves that we saw, which were these over here. That one and that one. And actually, we did see this over here, which it was a pretty nice move, but it wasn't that aggressive move that we want to see. So I think if we can continue momentum and we have like an aggressive move into the 70 overbought region, it could trigger something like this. Of course, we need some kind of massive rally on Bitcoin, which we'll go over later in the video. Here on the daily, we're actually just hitting overbought territory now. Looking pretty nice. Kind of had some kind of, I wouldn't even say inverse head and shoulders, but kind of looks like one, but it wasn't. But we are at overbought territory here on the daily. We did reach it here in May, but that was very short-lived. So let's see if we can actually get a real move like we saw here in November, and if we can sustain it. Because we are pretty extended from our yellow moving average, but we'll see if Bitcoin continues that momentum. If we get the momentum and it can trend upward for, you know, a couple of weeks, then this thing could push up much higher to, you know, mid 80s or something like that before seeing some kind of retracement. As we all know, once MSTR and Bitcoin get that momentum going, it's hard to stop. Like I said, the volume already went from, on average, like 10 or 11 million a day, even 9 million a day, to now sitting at 18 million back-to-back days, Friday and Monday. So hopefully the momentum continues, and then we get 20 million, 25, 30, and that's when you'll start to see those numbers flip back and forth, like whole numbers. You'll see it go from 452 to 454, back to 450, back to 458. When you start seeing that, that's when you know this thing's ready to kick in either direction, because it could go down, but that's when you get that momentum. We're in it for the volatility, so that's what we're looking for. Here we did get a red flip on the MACD on the weekly, and now we're starting to push up higher, started creating a little bull flag, and it has surpassed this level at 29, and we're sitting at 32.85, and we got our green flip with the increase in momentum, so it is looking good. I just want to see a nice move like this. I want to see a nice one like that. Last time we did get the flip after this one, but it was so small that we really didn't get much out of it. It still served its purpose because we got a nice move out of it. We got the red flip, but we still held this level. So we're sitting at higher levels. So if we can get a nice move off of here, that could catapult us potentially to this midline here or something like that, maybe into the mid 500s, hopefully. Here on the daily, looking good. We hit bearish territory temporarily, and now we're starting to ramp up. Blue's separating pretty nicely from the orange, and this green is starting to ramp up, which is nice to see. All indicators are looking pretty bullish. Now the RSI is looking a little overextended, but you need it to be overextended if you want an aggressive move to the upside. That's just the reality of the situation. Last week we did touch our 8 EMA again, and we got the nice move up. So I do wonder if we're going to make a move back to it. Hopefully not. Maybe it comes down and reaches this golden zone that we just surpassed, and we get a bounce off of it. And speaking of the golden zone, that was pretty much our last thing that we were talking about for a bearish move. We do have some other levels that have to be broken, the 786 and the 886. But the key one is this golden zone right here, the 0.5 to the 618. This is a bearish pull, so this is indicating that price would push up and bounce off of this level to the downside, which it did in this area right here, which we all know. If you've been on the channel for a little bit, you know we were talking about it for a while. We were saying, man, we just kept getting rejected off of this zone with this downward sloping trend line. Those two were acting as a very powerful level, and we finally broke that. And we're holding this key level right here, and we're holding this key level of support. So we're looking pretty good right now. Once we surpass the 786 and we get a close, and the 886, it's pretty much all the bearish ideas are completely out the door. Now, if you do want to pull it here, which I also think could be a reality, because in all reality, this wick, it's kind of an exaggerated move, so it could kind of throw off the price action in the TA, you know? If we were to actually take it from this move and we say this is the actual top, then we already surpassed our 886. So we were actually potentially fighting with the last line in the sand, the 886. So instead of it being a golden zone, we were really at the end of the finish line, and now this move is completely bullish, and the bearish move is completely out of the door. I don't know. It's a different way to look at it, but it could be what is actually happening. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. If it's the first one off of the top of the wick, or if it's more important to take it from here because we have more price action in this zone, so it makes it more valid. You let me know what you think. Here on Bitcoin, let me talk about it first before I go over that. So we had this downward sloping trend line that we had drawn out for, I don't know, 3 weeks now. We were saying that we had a bull flag inside of a bull flag, which tends to happen a lot. So on the larger scale, we have this bull flag here, and we take this measured move, boom, lands you at around 146 or so. On the smaller scale, we had this bull flag, if you can even call it that, which we were talking about. Depending on where you take it from, if you take it from here, or if you take it from here, and we were saying you measure that move out, and it takes you to around 120, and if you take it from if you take it from here to around here, then that measured move would take you to roughly like 118 or something. So either way, however you drew it out, it would have worked. But now the bigger one that we're focused on is that move to 146. Now I do think we could find some resistance at the midline of the channel, which we've already spoken about previously, which is this key level here that has been acting as resistance and support along the way. Most recently, it's been acting as resistance more than anything, as you can see multiple times, bouncing off of it. If we could break and hold that, I think it opens up that idea of hitting 150 for sure. Not saying it's going to happen, but it definitely opens up the likelihood of it happening. It increases the odds dramatically, in my opinion. The other important one that we've always been talking about for I don't know how long now, feels like months, is breaking and closing above this trend line up here, which is almost the last line in the sand. That connects the 2021 highs to these highs here, December, January. We closed above it, looking very nice. I mean, we got rejected, but I don't think it's a big deal yet. You guys already know once you get a close, you're going to get a retest more than likely before making any kind of decision. Now, of course, this is a clean candle, so this thing could just push right back inside. And now we're playing the game of chopping again. Hopefully not. That is a possibility. Hopefully we just get a retest and then this turns into a nice green candle. It is still early in the week, so I like to see retests early in the week more than anything. I don't like to see a retest late in the week because that increases the odds of actually having this turn bearish. But if we get the retest early, it gives it more time for this thing to flip green. But this is incredibly bullish. Like I said, we break, hold this. I see us touching this dotted line. If we can break and hold that, then I can see us touching this 146 level. And from there, we have to start to talk about what we're going to be doing there. Or I'll just say on a larger time frame. When you pull a fib here off of this bull flag, so we're taking it from this top here to this bottom, you can see that we actually found a rejection right at the 1272. These fib levels are no joke. They're pretty spot on. They're top notch. I love them. That's why you always see me pulling them, because they really do some magic. So we'll see what happens if we can break and close. If we can break and close above that, I think we can see that 1618, which will kind of coincide with the upward sloping trend line. So maybe we push past this zone and we wick up to the 1618, get rejected back underneath, and we fight with it before we can finally actually break above, retest, and then make it to that next level. You guys let me know what you think is the more than likely outcome. Do you think we're getting a retracement, or do you think we're building that momentum and there's no stopping Bitcoin from here on out? High cycle top is showing that we have plenty of time to go. I do think there is going to be some kind of regression between the lines, because the first time we actually flipped, so you can see the green's holding above the red and the red overtook the green. You can see that. You can see there's a space where the red was above the green, and then boom, we separated back down. Same thing here. We pushed up. We slightly, ever so slightly touched it. So you can see it was a pretty much together. It didn't even cross. This one you can see it crossed. I think here, because Bitcoin tends to have regressions, I think we don't even touch it. I think it's going to be, do not take these drawings for like at scale. Please don't. So for instance, if we get something like that, and it's green, I think the red will push up, and then it's not even going to cross. It's going to go something like that. That's my guess. It'll be something similar to that. That's kind of where I'm thinking. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. I think the regression kind of makes sense, especially with Bitcoin. You know, it has diminishing returns and all that, so it kind of makes sense with the theme of Bitcoin and what it does. I can really see it doing something like this, where we actually get a space between. Last but not least, Tether Dominance, looking amazing. I mean, we got a weekly close underneath this wick. So we wanted to get a close underneath this zone, which was key. We wanted to get that close. We've been bearish on it for a while now. We've been talking about it consistently, as you guys know if you've been on the channel. And we got the close. We closed underneath this wick, which is even more bullish, or it's bullish on Bitcoin, bearish on Tether Dominance. Reason being, as Tether Dominance goes up, that's risk off. As it goes down, that's risk on, which means money flowing to Bitcoin and other risk on assets. But we got that close. We said once we get the close here of this key level, more than likely get a retest, which is exactly what's happening right now. It looks like we're trying to get a retest. So Bitcoin will have some kind of pullback potentially. And I think the trend can continue. I don't know if it's going to, but I think that's going to increase the likelihood of it, especially after seeing that massive engulfing candle to the downside. And I think we can see lower levels. It is looking pretty good though. It looks like we bounced off of this key level right here. If you actually see here, you can see it lined up right with this wick. Right where this wick was, price touched it and shot right back up. So I do think we could get some kind of I would love to see a daily wick fill. I don't know if that's going to happen. That could be a lot to ask for. But a wick fill would be this green candle turning into a wick completely, and then the body of the candle turns red from here, and it's a large body that fills this wick in. If that were to happen, that's going to ignite a huge rally on Bitcoin, and that momentum could probably take us past this level down to this 412 region. I don't know if we're going to make it all the way down there. I would love to see that, and I know all of you guys would love to see that too. And for anybody new, because I know we do have a inflow of new people. If you're on this channel a lot, you already know what I'm about to say. We've got to talk about it anyways to keep everybody on point. I want everybody to make money here and know what's going on. The reason we have this blue line drawn out, you can see every time we touch this level, we find a local top here on Bitcoin. So this is Bitcoin in pink or whatever color this is. And you can see that every time we come into contact with the blue line, we find a local top. So we see it here, here again, here, again. We saw it even recently here in that January, November craze. And hopefully we see it here and we can come into contact with it. And maybe that's our top for the cycle, or at least a local top before continuing on higher. That's pretty much all I have for you guys. Make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe, and leave a comment too. And I'll see you guys in the next one.